All right, guys, so welcome to lesson 2. And today we're going to be talking about nutrition habits. And the first thing that I want to do is go over this quote. So long-term consistency needs short-term intensity. And this doesn't necessarily mean that short-term diets or programs are bad, but you do have to think about what happens afterwards. So yeah, you might make short-term progress, but when the diet is over, then what happens? Because diets that work via suffering and restriction fail when people no longer want to suffer or be restricted. That's almost always the case with short-term, go hard or go home style diets. So obviously, the best nutrition approach you can take is the one that you can stick to long-term. That's why we have our 3 nutrition rules, because they're flexible and they can fit into your preferences, your lifestyle, and your individual tastes. And another good part about the nutrition rules is you don't have to be perfect. You have to get better over time by gradually building better nutritional habits. Now, there will always be blips because getting results isn't a linear process, but over time, building better habits wins for the long-term success and for the maintenance of your fat loss or muscle gain goals. So what is a bad habit? Well, a habit is a behavior that we put on autopilot, and they're a vital part of us getting great results. So let's go through the process of designing and implementing a new habit. First of all, as you can see here on the screen, a habit must be obvious. You have to easily understand how putting this habit into place will positively affect your goals. So studies have shown that the closer a habit links with your goals, the more likely you are to follow through with it. And the more complicated or harder it is for us to see the connection between the habit and our goals, the less likely we are to feel in control of it, and therefore the less likely we are to stick to it. So it's really important to make it really simple and really obvious how the habit links to the goal that we're trying to achieve. Next, the habit must be frequent enough, then it becomes subconscious. This means that your new habit must be done ideally every day, or at least almost daily for this to happen. So trying to turn something like I'm going to start swimming once a month into a habit is probably quite unlikely to happen. From there, the habit must have a trigger. So by definition, habits are triggered by something already in our environment. So for example, you go into the bathroom in the morning, you see your toothbrush and you brush your teeth. So seeing your toothbrush is therefore the trigger in this case. If you don't have a trigger, then it's not that you can't, but it's much harder to create a new habit. Now, a really easy way to create a trigger is to do what's called habit stacking. This means using an existing behavior or trigger to be the trigger for your new habit. So let's put this into context and example for you. Let's say that you want to stretch more. And also, let's say that you already have a habit in the morning of having a coffee as soon as you get up or as soon as you get out of bed. So you could do something as simple as leaving a post-it note saying stretch right next to your kettle or coffee machine, then stretch while the coffee boils or the kettle boils. That way you can start to build a new habit, stretching each morning by piggybacking on a habit that you already subconsciously do, like the example I've given here about having your coffee. Think of it this way. Any new habit that piggybacks an old one should be able to fit into this statement. Before or after my current habit, I will insert the new habit. So this example would be, after I put the coffee machine on in the morning, I will stretch for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So that, guys, is your trigger. Moving on to the 4th point, the habit has to be achievable. So with any new habit, you must be able to give it a 90 to 100% certainty that you can achieve this new habit on a daily basis. Now, you might feel fired up right now, motivated to go with your habit and make massive changes, but don't overshoot yourself or set targets too high, because when it comes to building better habits, it's actually more important to succeed than it is to go all out and try and be perfect all the time or straight away. So if you're too optimistic, you might fail to implement the new habit frequently enough to turn into behavior that you can do on autopilot. So try and make it easy enough that it pretty much feels like it's impossible for you to fail. And the last point here, as you can see on my screen, is it must be 100% under your control. Now, this is really important, guys. As an example, setting a new habit of getting, let's say, 8 hours sleep per night, that's not always under your control, because you might not be able to fall asleep. There might be an alarm going off outside, or the kids might get you up, whatever it might be. There are things that you can't control, but you can control your sleep routine. So maybe instead of aiming for getting 8 hours sleep every night, aim to improve your sleep routine by not using your phone for 30 minutes before bed, or having a nice relaxing bath, or doing some reading, something of that sort before bed. And really, guys, they're the 5 steps of designing a new habit. So here, the last part is to write this up into your new habit statement, and you should do this every time you want to implement a new habit. And the statement goes like this: I am 90 to 100% certain that I will action when trigger in order to outcome. So you've got the action, the new habit that you're going to implement. You've got the trigger, that's when you're going to do it. And you've got the outcome, the reason why you're doing this new habit and what goal it will help you to achieve. So using our example from earlier, I am 90 to 100% certain that I will stretch when I put the coffee machine on in order to improve my mobility and flexibility. So that's how you go about designing and implementing a new habit. If you need any help with this, or you're stuck with a habit to pick, maybe speak to one of the coaches here at Thrive, and we'll be able to help you pick one. And then we can take it from there when it comes to your habit and behavior change.